Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
A massive warm welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I have a big apology to make. Sorry for the lack of episodes over the last few days. I have been fortunate enough to have some fantastic interviews over in San Francisco with some pretty big names such as Microsoft and IBM. But what you guys don't always see is I often have to jump through a few hoops to get episodes approved before they can go live. And on one side of a coin, I think it highlights how much bigger, more established businesses are cautious about any material that gets published about them. And that lengthy approval process often highlights how sluggish they can appear, especially when compared with younger, more agile startups. But equally, I completely get how audiences online can jump on the slightest quote and how entire articles can surface online as a result. Plus, there are a few people out there that have caused a few issues by just fueling the fire. But hey, I consider myself one of the good guys that's happy to keep building trust and relationships with both the guests and each and every one of you listening. That essentially is why I record this show, to share these stories and enable us all, including myself, to learn from each other. Now, before I get accused of dumbing things down, I wanted to invite a world-renowned computational neuroscientist turned tech entrepreneur and robotics innovator onto the show today. His neuroscience inspired a vision of a world in which robots take care of humans. Back in 2009, he founded BrainCorp with the goal of building artificial brains for robots that were modelled after human brains. Since then, his groundbreaking AI research and profound passion for improving the human condition has attracted a team of accomplished scientists, engineers and innovators from all over the world to help realise his vision. So after nearly 10 successful years, BrainCorp needed a capital partner to expand its capabilities and evolve its proprietary AI technology. He went on to pursue one of the world's largest tech investors, SoftBank, last year and secured $114 million in Series C funding. But hey, enough scene setting for me. Let's get him onto the show. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Diego so we can speak with Dr. Eugene Izhikevich from BrainCorp. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thank you for the invitation to join you. My name is Eugene Izhikevich. I'm co-founder and CEO of BrainCorp, a San Diego technology company. Actually, I'm a recovering academic. I spent more than 20 years in academia doing computational neuroscience and brain modeling. And I started BrainCorp in 2009 with the goal to build artificial brains.
Now, for listeners that are new to what you do here, BrainCorp is known as an AI technology company which creates brains for robots. And you appeared on my radar after securing an incredible $114 million in investment from, I think it was SoftBank last summer. But if anyone listening that are hearing about you for the first time, can you just help them visualise precisely what BrainCorp is and also what makes you guys unique and what you're doing there?
BrainCorp is a very unique company. It's a robotic company, but it's 100% software company in the sense that we don't build robots, we don't manufacture them. We started almost more than 9 years ago with a few R&D projects for Qualcomm. This is a big telecommunications company here in San Diego. And the first 5 years we were doing this contract R&D. We built the very first Qualcomm robot, the very first Qualcomm drone, before drones were hot, the very first Qualcomm Linux computer, the very first Qualcomm 3D printed robot. So we developed software to control all those robots using Qualcomm Snapdragon technology. And after 5 years, I realized that we are sitting on all this treasure of software that we developed and all this intellectual property. We should actually move out of Qualcomm campus and start building our own product. If there's one thing I learned from Qualcomm at that time, working closely with Qualcomm engineers and executives, is that if I want to build the world's biggest robotics company, I should stay away from robots, in the sense that try to avoid manufacturing them, making them, selling them, worrying about warranties and spare parts and field support and service, and instead partner with other companies that know how to make equipment and provide our technology to those partners. So the business model for BrainCorp is that we partner with manufacturers of manual machines, and we work with those manufacturers. We teach them how to embed our technology into their manual machines to convert them into self-driving, fully autonomous robots. And then we let those manufacturers to sell those robots to their customers, which is they like because now they have, basically yesterday they were manufacturers of manual ordinary equipment, and tomorrow they're manufacturers of robots. And the customers receive those machines. They still look like manual machines, so they could be used in manual mode. But if the customers want to turn on autonomy and use them in robotic mode, they subscribe to our software and pay us what we call monthly fee AI as a service. It's a SaaS business model. This way, nobody takes a risk. Our partner manufacturers don't have to invest millions of dollars into developing this new technology. They don't have to have expertise in AI and software engineering. They can continue to be manufacturers of equipment. The customers don't have to take any risk with respect to buying robots. They can buy machines which can be used in hybrid mode, whether in manual mode or robotic mode, and they only pay us when the machines are used in robotic mode. And we don't take any risk because we don't have to create manufacturing facilities here in San Diego. Instead, we rely on tens and hundreds of partners, and eventually thousands of partners who are going to manufacture those robots, who know how best to manufacture those robots. So this is very unusual for a robotic company, because most robotic companies, and many of them are in Silicon Valley and in Pittsburgh and Boston area, they create their own robots. Whereas we follow Qualcomm business model that we create enabling technology to enable others to manufacture robots.
I'm glad you talked about those first 5 years there, because if possible, I wanted to take you back to the time before funding and when your initial idea and concept came together, and essentially a plan for robots to take care of the world. So can you tell me more about that grand vision, the moment that it arrived, and how you actually wanted or envisioned a future where robots were taking care of humans rather than replacing them? Because it's completely the opposite of the narrative that's often portrayed in the media, isn't it?
Of course. So my vision of the future is that I want to see robots everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to see robots in your home, doing all sorts of chores for you. I want to see robots in your office, and outside doing landscaping and farming and agriculture and deliveries, and basically robots taking care of us. And you may ask, well, like all those future robots were promised to us by science fiction writers almost 100 years ago. Where are those robots? And it's often surprising for people when I say that all those robots of the future that were promised to us 100 years ago already exist today. They are made by thousands of manufacturers and sold to millions of customers. But the reason you and I don't treat those machines as robots, because they all require people to operate. They all require kind of somebody to steer, to push, to pull. And this fits perfectly our business model. We create software and technology to put brains inside those manual machines. So our goal is to enable hundreds of different types of robots, doing hundreds of different chores in your home and in the office, like everywhere, and kind of create this opportunity for all of us to take advantage, to benefit from this automation. So think about it. With the internet, you can touch every piece of information on this planet. With robots, you can touch any physical and every physical object on this planet. And in robots, you need to manufacture the body. And there are plenty of companies in US. There are thousands of companies in the US who know how to manufacture well. Look at all the entire Midwest of US. You need to be experts in software. And this is where California comes. This is where we provide this. You need to know how to teach and deploy those robots. We teach our partners to do that. So we're actually very close to the state where you will see, you would look outside your window, and it will be very difficult not to see a robot doing some of the chores that right now nobody is doing because it just right now it's not practical to put a person to do all this manual, dull, kind of menial work.
You guys really are experts in this industry too, because I think it was way back in 2005 that you implemented the world's largest model that simulated over 100 billion neurons and 1 quadrillion synapses, the same number as the human brain. I mean, can you tell me about that time? And did you also encounter any resistance? And also, what kind of changes in perception around robots have you noticed over the years?
So this goes back to my academic research, where I was writing papers and books, and I have 2 books. One of them, my recent book, which was published in 2007, called Dynamical Systems in Neuroscience, is used by practically every major university in US, in the world, to teach computational neuroscience. And if you Google my name, Izhikevich, you will find that a lot of scientists refer to a model of a neuron that I created as Izhikevich model or Izhikevich neuron. So in 2005, I had this exercise. Can I build a large-scale simulation of a mammalian brain, a human brain, using the models that I created and invented a few years prior to that? So I decided to be really ambitious and decided to simulate a model that has the size of the human brain. It's a thalamocortical system consisting of spiky neurons and a very detailed cortical and thalamic anatomy and electrophysiology. And I didn't have access to a supercomputer, so it took 50 days on a cluster of Linux computers to simulate 1 second of activity of such a model. It's interesting that IBM repeated the same experiments using their supercomputer a few years later, and right now the race is no longer who is going to simulate detailed neuronal model that has the size of the human brain. The race right now is who is going to do it in real time. Now, that model, people ask me, was it conscious? What happened when you simulated it? What happened? How do you feel when you have to turn off that simulation? Nothing could possibly happen because that model didn't have any memories. It just was like a brain in a vacuum. What I decided to do after that is to form a company and actually apply this technology to real robots, where you can put this brain into a real machine and you can let this machine to navigate in the environment and create experiences, to learn from the environment, to learn how to navigate, how to manipulate objects, how to control its own movements, how to use visual cues and landmarks for safe navigation through cluttered spaces. And this is kind of the new chapter in my, again, I would call it academic career anymore, but new chapter for me at least, trying to apply everything I learned about computational neuroscience into robotics.
Can you also tell me more about how your groundbreaking AI research and profound passion for improving the human condition has also attracted a team of accomplished scientists, engineers and innovators from all over the world to help realise this vision that you created there?
I was really lucky to attract the best experts in machine learning, computer vision, computational neuroscience, and deep learning, even before deep learning became a hot topic as it is right now, to San Diego to join me on this adventure. And right now people talk about self-driving cars. What's a self-driving car? You put a brain with computers and sensors inside the car and turn it into a robot. But how about all the other machines which are not driving on streets and freeways that can also be robotized? So we developed the technology with the help of all the experts whom I attracted to San Diego from all over the world. We developed a technology. We can turn anything that has wheels into a self-driving, fully autonomous robot. And I want to repeat that. Anything that has wheels, we can turn into a self-driving robot, provided that the speeds are slow and stopping and freezing is never a safety concern, which means that we stay away from cars driving on freeways and roads, because they're stopping on a freeway could be the worst thing you can do with respect to safety. All those machines that you can see with little wheels that operate in indoor environment or in parking lots or in pedestrian areas, we can convert them into robots. So right now, the challenge for us is to find the right partners, the manufacturers of those equipment, to partner with them to teach them how to convert their manual machines into robots. And we are attracting more and more of the most talented people from all over the world. Many of them actually join us from startups who work on self-driving cars, because with our business model and our focus, you don't have to wait 5-10 years before the self-driving cars become a commonplace. Software engineers and scientists can actually do research and development here in BrainCorp and see the result of their development in real robots the same week or next week or next month. And this is very extremely rewarding for my team, just to see that how you can translate your algorithms into real product immediately.
Now, you did mention there, obviously, searching for the right partners is very important to you. And after nearly 10 successful years, BrainCorp needed a capital partner to expand its capabilities and also evolve its proprietary AI technology. I think it was in June last year that the company secured $114 million in Series C funding, allowing your company to develop its AI technology and create those brains for multiple types of commercial and consumer robots. So can you tell me more about how you secured that funding and ultimately how it's going to help you take things to the next level?
So I was fortunate enough to start working with engineers and scientists from SoftBank Robotics. This is the company that brought Pepper, humanoid robot, to the market. And they were interested to using our self-driving technology to put into other robots that SoftBank Robotics wants to develop. So they introduced me to Masayoshi-san, who wanted to hear my story. And it's interesting. I created a presentation talking about different types of robots that need brains and that we want to build those brains. And it turns out that Masayoshi-san had exactly the same vision even before I had this vision. So there's a perfect match with respect to what he wants to do with future of technology and what I'm doing right now. So I was looking for a much smaller amount of funding, and he offered a bigger amount because he said that, look, there is an opportunity cost. I want you to pursue different types of robots simultaneously, as opposed to trying to bootstrap the company, going from one product to another product. He has a big vision for robotics for multiple reasons. One of them is that he's in Japan, and in Japan there's a huge shortage of labor. There's an aging population, and there are not enough younger people even to take care of the elderly. So one of the solutions that Japan will embrace in the future is that using robots and automation to help people to make all the menial work and dull and dangerous work to perform by robots. It's also interesting that attitude in Japan toward robotics is totally different from attitude in the US. Is that in the US, our attitude is formed and shaped by Hollywood movies like The Terminator, whereas in Japan it's mostly about their manga, their kind of their cartoons, which portray robots as little helpers who help people live better lives. And this is the reason I'm learning Japanese right now, is that I see there's a huge potential for BrainCorp to launch robots in Japan first and then expand this to US and Europe, just because the robots there, the population there is kinder, more receptive to robots.
Now, speaking of those Hollywood movies that you hinted about there, I mean, when you see those lazy tech headlines of AI causing a dystopian future, and they always have those header images of a robot with red eyes, usually from something like The Terminator, but they are just fictional movies. I mean, does that frustrate you when you see this image being perpetuated all the time?
Actually, there's nothing new here. Yep. If you look at the history of technology and how it was accepted by the society, this happens over and over again. I mean, it goes all the way to like centuries ago to what it is. We were destroying machines, textile machines. I mean, one of my favorite examples is that the president of US, Benjamin Harrison, refused to put electricity into the White House. And when eventually it was put into the White House, he refused to touch electric switches in the fear of electrocution. So every time new technology appears, there are people, very smart people, very respected people, opinion makers, who sound an alarm and kind of educate the public of possible adverse consequences of this technology. What's fortunate for all of us is that the society always finds a way to control it, always finds a way to make sure that new technology is safe and it's not misused. It's the same will happen with AI and robotics. Right now, we're not even close to the, from technology perspective, to the position when robots can have their own will and can do something on their own. I mean, today robots, they couldn't even open a door. So if you're really afraid of robots, just close the door and you'll be fine. Just put water on the robots, you'll also be fine. But in general, it's that we're many, many decades away from AI having capabilities such that it can do something which was not set up by the software engineers, by people who actually created this technology. So I'm people like Elon Musk, who are well-respected innovators. They sound alarm, but I think he's exaggerating the dangers a little bit. But it's fine because he's educating the public about things that could potentially happen, and this education will help the public, the society, to cope and to deal with this new technology.
And you mentioned 2 points there. One about educating the public, but also going back to the Industrial Revolution, where the people were fearful of technology and actually destroying the textiles machine. So if we presume that kind of approach could raise its head again, I mean, how do we educate people who are fearful of AI, fearful of robots, or even just technological change, and ensure that everyone is part of this future that's dominated by technology?
People who are fearful of robots. What is a robot? I mean, we have a saying here in BrainCorp that we call it a robot while it doesn't work. The moment it works, it's an appliance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dishwasher is a robot. Microwave oven is a robot. Refrigerator is a robot. People are not afraid of those. Can you be hurt by a dishwasher? Of course. By microwave? Yeah, you have. But in general, that's once it's working, people see the benefits of this. And then once they see that the scope, what robot is doing, like room with the vacuum cleaner, what it's doing is has very limited scope and very limited capabilities, but could be extremely useful for people, the fear naturally will disappear. So this is with respect to robots. With respect to AI, yeah, there's like amazing progress that Google showed us with respect to voice, natural voice communication. I'm looking forward to see more of this. And to see how this new technology can help us to have to take some of the menial work that we have to do with respect to making appointments or making reservations. But think about just like a smartphone. Even 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, if I tell you that you have a piece of glass in your pocket and just you can open it and you can there will be apps like Uber. So a total stranger will come to you and pick you up and then drop you, and you don't have to take your credit card or cash to pay for this. Or you can have games like Angry Bird, like you have apps which Steve Jobs never anticipated will appear on a smartphone. 15 years ago, you wouldn't believe me. You'll tell that I'm totally crazy. And right now we have all this amazing technology, and the impact of this technology on our lives is so huge that we couldn't live without smartphones. We couldn't live without being constantly connected to the web. So the same will happen 5, 10, 15 years from now with respect to robots and AI. The benefits will be so huge that people will choose to stick with this technology and not. And they can go somewhere, try to detox, but in general, they wouldn't think they couldn't even imagine how they could live without this new technology.
So what's next for BrainCorp? Is there anything else that you can share with us today about your plans for the next 18 months and beyond?
I would say plan for the next 3 to 5 years is to have 100 different robots doing 100 different chores and 100 different tasks. And the goal is just for us to build brains for all those robots, such that we can enable 100 different other companies to bring up the physical devices and bring them to the market. This is the biggest challenge, to go from few robots that we have today, built by few OEMs using our technology, to expand it to hundreds of different types of robots.
Excellent. Well, a huge thank you for coming on the show today. Before I do let you go, can you remind the listeners of where they can find out more information about BrainCorp, the fantastic work that you're doing, and equally how to contact a member of your team who may have any questions just about any elements of our conversation today?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss BrainCorp and in our exciting future. You can go to our website, BrainCorp.com or BrainCorporation.com. And if you want to reach us, just go to the Contact Us section of our website. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, again, I love everything that you're doing here, and I also love how you're passionate about educating people about the future as well and what benefits robots can bring to humans, and it's all about helping them rather than replacing them. And I thank you for coming on today and sharing that story with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I first heard about AI technology creating brains for multiple types of commercial and consumer robots, sure, I was a little cynical. Is this really going to happen in my lifetime? But the fact that BrainCorp has secured $114 million in Series C funding tells me there is a lot of life in this project. But the thing I love most about this story is that once again it highlights the importance of the grind and showing up every day to bring a vision to life. For most of you listening, AI is a buzzword here in 2018. But way back in 2009, today's guest founded Brain Corporation with the goal of building artificial brains for robots that were modelled on human brains. And since then, it's his groundbreaking research and profound passion for improving the human condition that has attracted a team of accomplished scientists, engineers and innovators from all over the world to help realise that vision. I suppose you could say it's another one of those 10-year overnight success stories. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about today's episodes, the conversation and the topics that we discussed. As always, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, email me techblogwriter@outlook.com. And I hope you loved today's conversation as much as I did and understanding the art of the possible. But that's it for today's episode. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.